Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Dawson. Welcome to Leader Talk. This show is proudly brought to you by Brainiact. Each week we are meeting with incredible leaders from around the world to discuss all things leadership and business insights. Each person coming on this talk show has given up their valuable time for one very clear purpose: to give back to small and medium business owners. Many of us will agree that running a business is a 24/7 job. Yet to run a successful and sustainable business, we need to allocate time to focus on external engagement, and this can be challenging. Today, my co-host, CEO of Peerlight, Gus Ayanto, and I are fortunate to chat to our guest speaker, Stephen Walker, co-owner of Kookaburra Homes, one of the leading home builders in South Australia. Stephen is here today to help us understand how to delegate and at the same time create a cost-effective strategy to lift your business's brand. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Nat. Thank you, Gus.
Hey, hi, Stephen. Thank you for donating your time again. We valued your insights and can't wait to get more understanding about the two topics that very close to you. One is about how you actually running a business, allowing other people to excel, and secondly, how do you create brands with a cost-effective mind as we're representing small and medium business.
I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Steve. And we always begin our shows with asking our guests two fun questions. So we have yours. First one is, do you have a favorite movie and why?
Yeah, my favorite movie is the Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tearjerker. I find myself going onto YouTube and watching the scene. Have you guys seen the movie?
I haven't seen it.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a scene where he actually gets the job. And Gus, you'll remember this if you've seen it.
Yes.
And it goes for about 9 minutes and 48 seconds exactly, actually. And I find myself every week watching just that clip on YouTube every week. I like that. I resonate with that movie a lot because it's about struggle. It's about working hard. When there looks like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, it's just that keep going mentality. And he finally gets it in the end, and it makes me happy. So
Yeah,
I like it.
and
It's based on a true story as well.
Yeah, true story. It's an unbelievable movie. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, really my favorite.
Noted for my list of movies to watch.
Get onto
So
it now.
thank you. And what about, can you share something with us that others may not know about you?
That others don't know about me. I guess when I'm not working, I'm very heavily involved in basketball here in Adelaide. I grew up playing junior basketball. It was a big part of my childhood, and now I'm revisiting it in my adulthood and going back and giving back to the club that helped me when I was very young, and giving my time to the junior program and coaching and mentoring young kids. Some people know that, but I don't think a lot of people realise how involved I am with basketball here in South Australia and how much I enjoy it.
Excellent. And Steve, I gave a bit of a very, very brief intro about you in the opening. We're hoping you can tell us a bit more about yourself and also Kookaburra Homes.
Yeah, so I joined Kookaburra Homes 7 years ago. So Kookaburra Homes had been around for 25 plus years. I originally came here 7 years ago, almost to this day, as a consultant. So I was hired for 1 year to really come into the business and look at their sales and marketing arm of the business. It really needed help. I spent 12 months here, really felt like I got that to a stage where I could exit the business and go do something else. And the owner at the time said, actually, would you be interested in purchasing it? So I got together with my co-owner, Wayne Goodwin, who I love to death, the complete opposite to me. So we complement each other really well. And we've grown this business to, a business that was doing $6 million in sales that, now does $60 to $70 million. And we've done that over the last 6 or 7 years. So Kookaburra Homes, we're a residential home builder. We've actually just been awarded 3 years in a row, South Australia's most professional medium home builder, which I'm really proud of. Because 7 years ago, we hadn't won one industry award and we've won 16 in a row now. So we're being recognised for not just the quality of the product, which is a big tick to my business partner, Wayne, who he's been on the tools since he was 14 years old, delivering quality product. But a credit to everyone else in the business for building a brand that's recognised in the South Australian building community. And that's really it, mate.
Great. And we do have some leadership questions to ask you, because we've had a brief chat before, and you seem to be a very kind leader. So wanted to know, in your opinion, how do you actually describe leadership?
Yeah, I think leadership is by example. I think it's really hard to ask others to do things that you're not prepared to do yourself. I learnt that a long, long time ago. Even in retail, someone taught me that you get out there, you're the one that vacuums the shop floor, you're the one that cleans the shelves. You have to demonstrate you're prepared to do the hard work. So I think it's definitely leading by example. The other one, which I focus on a lot, and I have my entire life, mainly because it motivated me my entire life, is empathy. So being really empathetic to people's circumstances, because they do have a life outside of here, and they go through things in life that will affect them. And because they spend so much time here, it's just natural that they'll bring those problems to work. And I know there is a mentality out there that leave your problems at the door, but I've really reverse engineered that. And I say, bring them in here, fix them in here where it's safe, and use this environment as somewhere you can come and feel safe and loved, and you can grow and develop and work through those problems. And by doing that, my team give me 110% back, because I'm demonstrating to them that I really care about them. It's not about the big KH behind me. It's about them as individuals. And then the byproduct is the brand benefits from that. So empathy, and then also leading by example in that.
Steve,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Steve, when we talk about leading by example, how do you balance? So the leading by example is not create a leaders that actually do it all, not allowing people, because I think it's a fine line. We want to lead by example. Some might take it to the next level, that they want to actually show it all the time. Other people never do it. So how do you have any tips of what is the best of leading by example, so we not take the opportunity for others to actually do it as well? Is that
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't try and do it all myself. I also learnt that, and I am learning that, things that I don't enjoy doing as a manager, as a leader, maybe because I've been doing them for the last 20 years, or they frustrate me, or I just think I'm beyond that now. There's other people in my business that would love that problem. They would love that opportunity to do that. And I'm really learning that. So something, I'd look at a task, or I'd look at a problem in my business and think, oh, gee, I really don't want to do this. But there are people in your business that would love to grab that opportunity and tackle it. So I think you have to learn to let go of some of those problems, because there are people in your business that you might think, oh, this person won't want to do this. They won't want to fix this problem, because you find it annoying. They'd actually love to do it. So I'm starting to learn to delegate some of those tasks and things that I don't want to do anymore to other people in the business. The other thing as well is I stopped a long time ago trying to prove myself. And that's really hard in big corporates, I think, when there's a corporate ladder. You have a manager above you, but they don't want to, they're always managing up. They're not managing down and praising the people underneath them. They want to take credit for every idea. So I think a leader needs to get to a stage in their leadership life where they can step back and feel comfortable in themselves that, they can promote people from below and give them the credit that they deserve.
That is actually, I found that one of the hardest, if people actually being genuine, trait of being a true leader. There's a lot of leaders that developing things, but reaching to that point where the people you develop have the skill might be equally to you, and to allow them to actually excel further. That is, and you talk about this few times, Steve. I think that's the qualities.
So Gus, in your business, in a big corporate business, have you found people that are very good at managing up, and but they trick you? They trick you over time. They get found out, but they're very good at managing up, but poor at managing down.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And like what you said, at the end of the day, now in this world now where a lot of transparency happen, people can see it. You can't hide like 1960s. Maybe you can talk a lot of things but not doing. Now people get caught. But I think nowadays, if you want to be successful in the big corporation, you need to be able to do both. You need to be able to manage up, and you need to be able to manage down. But what I always say to my leaders, the reason you manage up is so you can help your subordinate to get better outcomes. If you manage up for yourself, it's the start of a failing career as a leader. That's I truly believe. And I totally agree with you when you say be comfortable in your own skin. The fact that other people will be better than you. And easy to say, hard to do, right? Ego is
it's really hard because you don't really learn that until you've had someone above you that's shown you and demonstrated that to you, which I've been lucky to have. So for the people out there that find that hard, or that are working that big corporate structure, I get it. It's really, really hard because if your manager or leader above you isn't demonstrating that, then you're a product of your own environment. You're just going to do the same thing. You're going to squash all the people underneath you. But I learned you need to bring those people up, and they'll naturally push you up to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. And being a leader is tough. What do you think, Steve, are the main challenges facing leaders, maybe even just today?
I guess like everyone, especially at the moment in the past 2 years, is my staff don't care about my problems. They just don't care. They do, but they don't ask. They do care if you delve into it. As a leader, it's really hard with everything that is happening in the world at the moment and all the challenges. And, even if you're just a manager in the business and you're responsible for people, that there's so many things happening out there in that big wide world at the moment that are really impacting our mental health, our attitude, the way we look at things. It's very easy to take a negative approach. So to ask leaders and managers to come to work and create a really positive, upbeat environment is really, really hard. And I reckon that's probably one of the biggest challenges at the moment, because we know that profitable businesses grow from having really, really positive environments. So as a manager and a leader, you invite everyone else to bring their problems to work, but you do sort of really have to leave your problems at the door and solve them outside of the workplace. So that can be challenging, that you don't bring them internally and let it affect the rest of your team, because they're finding it hard enough as it is. And that's what a real leader is, I think.
Yeah. And do you have any practical tips for organizations so they can create that positive buzz in their business?
I just be nice to people, Gus. I trust them. I don't have, I'm terrible at, procedures and processes. I do them because I have to, but I just trust my people. The foundation is very, very strong from the moment that you walk in these doors. So, we don't need to bring in gurus, or we don't need to do courses. We don't need to do anything like that as such around positivity and creating a positive environment. It's like that from day one. I think a lot of it is because we talk about trust. And once people feel trusted, I think you go a long way to creating the right environment.
It's something so simple, and I think few of the listeners might be thinking, how come just being kind can create a buzz? But I am a total agreement with you. All these textbook rules how to create a buzz is not actually working right now. The reality is people come with different problems and they want to make a difference. The minute you are actually being kind and allow them to go to the next level, you create a buzz. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I probably should. It's okay. Like I think it is good to bring people into the business, talk about the gurus and things like that. There's some very good people out there that do have really good experience you can invite into your business to help you with that sort of stuff. But as long as it's honest and it's true, you're not just doing it to tick a box. You must really want to change or improve the culture of your business. And then that person bringing in the business, it's not just a one day, where we all play with slinkies and coloured balls, and it's something that's continuous. It doesn't just last one day where we all hug each other and high five. You've got to really want to change or improve the culture of your organisation. And outside people can help you do that, as long as you, who is inviting them in, really, really wants to change the culture of the business and care about the people, or are you just doing it because you're ticking a box?
Yeah. And Steve, for all those listeners out there that are going, wow, Steve seems so nice and, kind, and they want to be like Steve, how do you actually continue to grow and develop your leadership skills? Is there some tricks that you have that perhaps others can do? Is it books? Is it mentors? What are the tricks?
Yeah, I'm just really honest with myself. Like, I'm a heavily flawed person and a heavily flawed leader. And I put that on full display. I don't pretend I'm someone that I'm not. I have issues in life that I struggle with and challenges. And the people at work know that. They know that through private conversations I've had with them. I'm very willing to open up with people and also explain that Kookaburra is not my life. It's a vehicle to help me achieve certain things and talk to wonderful people like yourself, and that it's not, it doesn't define who I am. So I'm very open and honest to all my staff about the troubles that I have in life. So that means I'm self-reflecting a lot. So that's how I do improve. I do read books and I listen to podcasts and I do all that sort of stuff because I enjoy that. But I think the biggest thing that I've developed over my life is the ability to self-reflect and say, okay, Steve, you could probably do that better, or you're not being a very nice person, because I'm not a nice person all the time. There's a lot of times that, I probably score myself a 6.5 out of 10, when it comes to, being a nice guy in the workplace. But when I'm not nice, I go and fix it immediately and I apologise and I try and get better. And I think, okay, what could I have done better in that situation? Just because I'm your leader doesn't mean that I'm better than you. I'm really interested to get feedback from my staff on me, as much as I'm interested to get it on them as well. So probably self-reflection is probably where I get most of my growth from that.
Yeah, I love that.
So
in the podcast where people watching all over the world and said, the way I learn is I acknowledge that I'm flawed. And then that is a strength by itself. The reason why Superman unable to exist today is because being Superman, he's unable to say he's flawed. And so no one want to help. The reality to lead, you can only truly lead when your people want to help you. And people want to help you when they know you are flawed. And when you are flawed, they help you. They do everything for you for the positive outcome, and then you create the buzz. I think that's really, really powerful. Really powerful.
So, Nat, what about you? So what do you do? Do you does anyone read books anymore, or is everyone listening to podcasts?
I always say to Gus, Leader Talk teaches me so much. So yeah. I get to chat weekly to amazing leaders from all around the world, and being open to suggestions, I think, is also a big thing, because you could read thousands of books. Do you absorb it? Do you not? Do you put it into practice? Like, we could have this chat. It's actually taking on board all this feedback. So I find these chats, and no, I do read books, but not lots each week.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's being open to it, and then also taking action after. I remember going to a Tony Robbins conference once, and the first thing he says, he goes, thank you so much to everyone here for not listening to what I told you last year. Otherwise, if you actually listened and took action, I wouldn't have a business. But you come here, you jump around, you high five each other, you walk over coals, you say, yes, I'm going to do it. And then none of you go away and action it. And then you come and pay $2,000 again for another ticket. So thank you for not taking action. I thought that was quite funny.
That is so interesting, isn't it? And, Steve, you mentioned something about Kookaburra Homes is not I mean, you work there and you've got your ambitions and things like that, but it's not your whole life. And achieving that work-life balance, I think, is quite hard for leaders. I know I struggle with it. There's sometimes you're working till early hours and you're exhausted, you haven't slept for a long time. Do you have a strict routine? Do you know when to switch off? Is that something you've mastered? I haven't mastered that. So do you have any tips out there for those small and medium business owners that are working, 7 days, they haven't rested, there's fatigue, there's stress, there's all those things. How do you actually balance it?
I drink a lot. No, I don't.
Steve drinking tea a lot.
That's right. Yeah.
I almost thought, is that the wrong question to ask?
No, Gus, we spoke about this recently, that the work thing, I don't get stressed or I don't get tired because once again, being connected to that why, I'm very connected to why I'm involved with Kookaburra Homes. So my motivation is greater than, me getting tired or stressed or worried, or because I'm not just focused on Kookaburra. I'm not letting Kookaburra determine how I feel each and every day, whether that's happy, sad, stressed, frustrated. It doesn't come into my thinking anymore. I'm not focused on it. It is purely a vehicle, and it is a place I go and I do tasks and I do them individually that then eventually will build up to something great that then is just a vehicle for everything else that I'm trying to achieve in life, which is, helping community and helping kids and helping, especially highly vulnerable kids and teenagers. So I don't get stressed or worried because I'm not relying on Kookaburra to be the vehicle for my emotions. Now, I know that's hard. I've only recently learnt that. But the people that go to work that get frustrated by Margaret in accounts, we don't have a Margaret in accounts, by the way, but by Margaret in accounts or a fellow co-worker or a fellow co-owner, I don't allow them to influence how I feel. But that is hard. That takes a lot of work to get to that point. I just don't care. So I don't allow it to stress me or get frustrated or tired, or because my why is greater than Kookaburra Homes.
You know what's interesting? It's always when I spoke to you last, when you mentioned the same thing, you openly. This is one thing that I found you very, very great leader. You openly said, "I'm flawed," but then on hindsight, so I can learn more. So you actually the student of never-ending study, right? Because if you wake up every day, in the positive way, I'm flawed. You are actually the student of the universe, and I think successful leaders have to have that. And number two, you openly said, this is my business. I'm not determined by this. So this concept of if you want to build a business, you need to be 1,000% passionate about your business. Yes and no. What you demonstrate is, I never see you on social media, you're not passionate about Kookaburra Homes. But what you're saying to us, and correct me if I'm wrong, have a greater why, so you become a solid full yourself that can lead Kookaburra Homes. Because if you put Kookaburra Homes above you, then it destroys you to lead the business. But what you do, you put Kookaburra Homes under you, so you can lead it to win. Because you said, I have a greater why, whatever why you have. It could be for the people developments, it could be for the community, for the thing. And I think that is an outstanding leadership qualities from you.
Thank you, mate. And I think that's why I've been successful in any business or career or any role that I've done, because I've put myself above it. It's just a vehicle for me. I don't allow the things, things, people, places to determine how I feel. I'm very clear on why I'm here and what I'm trying to do. And I use that as motivation. So I just happen to be here at the moment. That's all.
Yeah. And it really adds, Gus, we had that conversation. I cannot remember. We've interviewed quite a few great leaders now where they said, I had asked a question about work-life balance, and they didn't believe that work-life balance is such a thing. If you are passionate and understand what your purpose is, it's not actually work, because you love what you do. And, yours is a vehicle here, Steve. So it's not necessarily, you don't go there to exhaust yourself and things like that, because you love it. And it gives you these other avenues to keep going.
Mhm.
Which is just
My view
That's
on
right.
work-life balance is always, in the absence of a purpose, you will never achieve balance. For example, if you don't even know why you work in the first place, then you will always struggle why you work. If you want to be a president of United States and you put the time tomorrow, well, I guess today you need to read the book and not sleep, not eat, not and you still not getting there. And people missing that purpose. And I think with Steve, his why is greater. So work-life balance is equally applied itself. It's the universe will just apply the work-life balance. I mean, people still need to sleep, by the way. I still think that
yeah.
the work-life balance that we talk about is not killing the needs of the resting the thing, but a lot of people have so many sleep and still demonstrate like they're not balanced. Surely you've seen that as well, Steve. There's a lot
Yeah,
of people that sleep
100%.
more.
So I'm interested to know, when doing this podcast, when you ask that question, do you have leaders on here that have the mentality that you've got to work 80 hours a week?
We haven't so far.
No,
We haven't so far. We haven't so far. Truly, like the leaders
Not
that we
one.
take is all exactly like what you mentioned. Clarity of purpose. And if you really want that, then you need to work on it. Like, I mean, if someone said, I remember, I don't know whether this is Anthony Robinson. It's like chasing a girl. If we are a male chasing a girl, for example, if you really want that to be your wife, you will do everything. You will walk from here to Adelaide just to see her. Now the problem is, if you don't actually want her to be your wife, you just want to have drinks with her, you will find it difficult to walk from Melbourne to Adelaide. I see that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's and then no balance. Like, why do you see a girl and walking? Someone needs to pay for my taxi.
Yeah. Now that we're talking it out, I think one of the things, when you, I think early on in my career, I was working those ridiculous hours because I was trying to prove myself. It was my ego. I was trying to prove myself. And then what we spoke about earlier, which is letting go. Once you do that and you stop taking it all on yourself, if you trust the people that are underneath you and that you work with, you'll find that the collective does all the work, So that's why we get a lot of stuff done here. That's why we've grown so fast, is because I've managed to get buy-in from a whole group of people now. It's not just myself driving it. There's buy-in from everyone. So which allows me to delegate and take my foot off a little bit and go to other things that interest me. So, yeah, I think too many leaders try and take it on themselves because they're trying to prove something to someone.
And this goes perfectly into what I've labeled here for myself as the $1 million question, because I've been dying to ask you this, Steve, about building a sustainable business that operates without you needing to be in it. Now, this is really, really hard for a lot of small and medium business owners to do. You start up, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of employees, you are the face, you do everything. How do we build this sustainable business without us being everything there? Because, we want to take leave, we want to do things, maybe we want to take a step back, but it's really, really hard to do.
Yeah, 100%. 6-7 years ago when I came here, I didn't have a marketing I was the one. We didn't have any money. We didn't even have enough money to do a half-page ad in the newspaper, and so I couldn't do any traditional advertising. So I literally just got onto YouTube and typed in how to set up a Facebook page, and I was doing all that myself. And now we're the second most engaged builder in the state when it comes to engagement, likes, shares, comments. Only second to Metricon, which is a big, national home builder with an enormous marketing budget. So I'm really proud of that. But there were years and years where I was doing all the work, everything. I was doing the posts, I was managing the staff, I was meeting the customers. And there is an element of, you are going to have to suck it up. If you are a new business owner, and you're trying to go from a small business into a medium business where you can at least have one person underneath you so you can go take a break with your partner and family, there are going to be some hard years in there. And that's where it comes back to, it can't be just because you like building homes. You do have to have a greater why, because it's going to be really, really hard and challenging, and you can't allow the business to dictate your emotions and make you feel sad or frustrated or stressed, because that's why businesses go under, because people start a business because they're so connected to what they're selling. I start businesses because I'm so connected to everything outside of what I'm selling.
And
so
that is just so nice to hear, so difficult to do though.
So simple.
Like,
it sounds simple.
What Steve's saying is actually, if everyone can do this. So let me repeat what he said. If you open a business because of the love of your product, not enough why you actually creating that product. When the product not selling as well as your expectation, you get hurt. You get really hurt. And I think emotionally, that's what make business under initially. I agree as well on that.
Yeah. So the other challenge, which I've only really realised in the past couple of weeks, is I'm starting to think about, okay, what do I do next? Do I stay at Kookaburra? Do I go and do something else? And then I look around and I've made the realisation that I've built a business off the back of my ego. So coming from a really tough childhood, I've used my career and roles within businesses and businesses themselves to really fuel something inside of me that I never got my entire life, which was love, praise, recognition. So I've used business to really fulfill those needs. So I've built a business off the back of a really, really bad childhood and some really dark places that I'm coming from. I've used business to really fuel and make myself feel, do you know what I mean? So what's happened now is I'm thinking, okay, I've built this business, but if I wasn't in this business, who here has enough motivation continue to grow and expand the brand? What are they using as their motivation? And as I look around the business, I don't think there's anyone in the business that has enough motivation to continue growing it. So I'm trying to restructure this business in a way where the new baseline is happiness. It's a brand that's built off happiness, not off the fact that I'm trying to fulfill some childhood need where my mum didn't love me enough. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does.
Pretty deep, yeah. I think a lot of people start businesses because they're trying to fulfill some need of gratitude or love or praise that they may not have got in the past. They use their business to do so. And when it fails, it really, really hurts. So, that's that self-reflection again. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, definitely. And, I want to touch on your, you mentioned that, you're the second most engaged, you get the second amount of engagements on social media. So building brand awareness campaigns, we know they're time consuming and costly, especially for small business. What are your thoughts on how we should build our brand effectively, but still manage the cost well? You mentioned that you used to do everything. And, if we want to grow, it's really hard to focus on social media and things like that. Do you have any tips that you can share with everyone?
Yeah, 100%. So we got huge traction and growth in the early days because as the owner of the business, I was so close to the customer. So when I would do a post, I was addressing customers' pain points because I was listening to them. I was literally on the phone, listening to how we could get better, how the industry could get better. I'd hang up the phone. And then when I'd go market, I was marketing directly to their pain points. I wasn't so far removed that I was just, throwing a dart and, hoping it was hitting the bullseye. I understood the pain points very well. So I learned that early on. And then as the business continued to grow, I've structured the business in a way that allows me to be as close to the customer as possible. And I know that's a big point of difference in the building industry in South Australia. As businesses grow, owners of building companies put personal assistants in to help them remove themselves from the customer. I've got a personal assistant. I brought her in to allow me to get closer to the customer. So I've structured the business in a way that I can spend 99% of my time just speaking with customers. Now, a lot of leaders or managers or owners of businesses don't think, they don't want to do that, because they think, okay, that's a lot of hard work. But for me, I save so much money when it comes to doing marketing campaigns, because I'm talking directly to the consumer. So I know exactly what's on their mind. I don't need to go do market research. I don't need to spend money mystery shopping. I'm just talking to the customer, and the customer will tell me everything that I know, and then I go market to them, and that's how we get the traction. So that's how we do it.
Isn't it? It's interesting.
Come back to that though, Steve. So if I'm a small plumber, so me as the plumber, Natalie, my assistant, right? I can understand why I have the time to call the customer, because I'm the only one, so I have to do that. But say my business grow to almost medium size. I have 20 plumbers working for me. I'm start getting headaches with financials, all the in-house, requirement of running a business. How do you really balance that though? Like, how do you balance that? And I think as a small business, the struggle is always money and time. Money and time. And I like what you say. Hey, we competing with companies that have millions of dollars in marketing spends. Well, the reality is I don't have millions. I'm lucky if I want to spend 5,000. But what you do is free podcast, doing YouTube, doing Facebook, and then calling the customers. Where do you find this time, Steve? Like, how do you, like, we are a plumber company. Today, I'm decided not to open a kebab shop. I'm a plumbing company today. What your advice to me, Steve? Like, I don't have time. I have 20 plumbers working for me. I don't have time calling my customer, and let alone I go to YouTube or Facebook or doing podcast, for example. Like this is what advice you give to someone stubborn like me?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's stubbornness or it's arrogance. It's really rude that people develop that mindset. I know it because I struggle with it as well. I find it hard. I'm like, I've got to call the customer today, and give them a $28,000 variation. I don't need to do that. I've got 7 or 8 salespeople in the business. We've got 42 staff. There's other people that can do that. But, sometimes I catch myself thinking, surely I'm above this. I don't need to be doing this anymore. But they're the people that have the ability to hire me or fire me, that old saying. So when I start feeling like that, the feeling I get the most is arrogance. Yeah. When you are that plumber and you're starting out, it was okay for you to talk to customers then. And then I talk to so many business owners that say, this would be an easier business if we didn't have customers. They're the ones that got you to where you were, and now you want to turn your back on them. Like, how's the arrogance? So for me, as much as I don't want to do it, like I don't like doing it anymore. I used to, but I have to do it because they're the reason why I get to do everything. And I'd be really rude and arrogant to just stop talking to them now. So I've structured it in a way where I just make them my number one priority. P&Ls, financials, purchasing, everything is after that. Talking to my customers is number one. And I identified early on when I was trying to build this business and I had no money, I developed a strategy which I call the Hunt for Red October. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a movie.
Yeah, I watched that movie.
Yeah, so in the South Australian market, you've got all these big brands that sit up here doing TV and radio, and I just never had the money for it. So I'm the submarine. I sit under the surface of the morning, under the waters, beep, beep, just going along, right, underneath them. While they're playing up there, I realised that I can outwork and outmarket any sales manager at any building company. I can outmarket and outwork any owner of any building company in South Australia because they're not prepared and don't want to do the things that I'm going to do. So I've just put myself up against every manager and owner and competed against them and not worried about the brand. And that's how I've got traction. And then underneath my brand, YouTube, podcast, community, Facebook, mentoring kids, whatever that may be, And that's where I've got the traction, because I haven't tried to compete from a brand level. I've left that there, and I've come underneath, and I'm competing on a Steve Ward, sales manager against sales manager level. And I'll beat them every time. If I'm sitting at the dinner table and my competitor was in there half an hour before with his sales manager, the customer knows who I am. They know what I'm about. Yeah.
And we work closely. So with my business, we work closely with our customers, working on content strategies. And it's been interesting this year. You spoke about how important it is to actually speak to customers. We're seeing more. They all have variations of the name, but it's a call a customer program, where people that may not necessarily deal with customers, because they may be, in accounts or something where they don't actually need to speak to the customer. They're not out there in the field or doing things like that, but they are engaging with a customer to understand their needs, understand their wants. Do you think everyone, at some degree, everyone in a business, small, medium, large, they should all have some contact with a customer, correct?
100%. I completely agree with that, Nat. It's interesting. The one thing in construction that we pay no attention to is the accounts department, who actually ask for the money and how they interact with that customer. What letter are you sending them? How are you wording your email? We're asking these people for hundreds and thousands of dollars. For me, the accounts department is one of the most important departments, because they're the ones that are actually asking for the money from the customer. But hardly any business, especially in construction, puts any focus around customer service training or teaching them to build rapport, have empathy when the customer doesn't have the money to pay or they may be late. So I think everyone in your business should interact with customers or have exposure at some point. And that's, the thing with marketing, and I see it in a lot of businesses, especially medium to large size businesses, they go get the 24-year-old kid that's done 4 years, just straight out of uni, marketing degree, doesn't work on the shop floor, isn't in display villages on weekend, never spoken to a customer, but we're expecting them to put together marketing campaigns, but they never talk to customers. So I really think in a lot of organisations, there's a big disconnect. You have a sales manager and you have a marketing manager, and they usually just fight each other. So we try and bring our sales and marketing department together here, so they work as one. So when marketing go and do a campaign, they actually understand what's happening out there in the marketplace. They're exposed to the customer daily.
That's great. And, for all those listeners out there, Steve, we're talking about building brand awareness. For anyone out there that's like, okay, this has been so inspiring, I now need to start this. I need to start, being active on my social channels. I want to raise my brand awareness. Where can they start if they have no idea what they're doing? Is it as simple as what you said, going on YouTube, having a look at what people are doing? Do you have any tips to just get the ball rolling so they can start?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get too caught up in trying to make the content perfect, where, when we first started, the content wasn't perfect. You just have to get started. And usually, if you are a sole operator and, you want to showcase who you are and what you're about, there's a lot of nerves and anxiety attached to that. It's really just getting over those and giving it a go, and you just have to start. And for the first year, they're going to be horrendous and terrible, but they'll get better and better and better and better. But you just have to start. And I understand that can be scary. The other thing, and I give this advice to everyone about, you need to start, whether it's TikTok or whether it's LinkedIn, whatever it may be, and they do it for a month and they get no traction, no followers. They just have their mum say, "Oh, that's a lovely post, son," and that's it. But this thing takes a long time. Takes a long time to build up a social media following, and there's so much content out there. So my advice is to get started and do lots and lots and lots of content, which is the other thing people are really scared to do, because they think, I don't want to annoy people. But as you would know, Nat, and it'd be interesting to hear from you, because you probably know a little bit more about it than myself, but there's so much content out there. I don't think you can annoy anyone. It's not like it was 8-9 years ago on Facebook. Would that be right?
We get asked that question all the time. How many posts do we post on Instagram? What's the preferred way of putting on LinkedIn? Look, you don't post every hour, because then, yes, you would be very annoying. but you are competing with people with marketing teams. Everyone is competing for that space on that long thread. I know, Gus, sometimes we would say something and say, oh, did you see that post? And I wouldn't see it, or we're tagged in it, but you see it, I don't see it. You even posting daily, it is fine. You really need to get your brand out there. But I am with you on that. People are so worried what they're putting out there. And if you've spoken to your customer, look, we've had a recent example on our end. Now that, weddings have started, there's more social gatherings. We've seen an increase in requests for speech writing. So we do ghostwriting for speeches. So we've had to alter our campaign to really target that. The customers want all of a sudden speeches because events have started. There are gatherings, there are weddings. So, we've listened to what they've wanted. So we've altered it, which works in our favor to market speech writing, but we've given them tips. We give them tricks, to how to master that perfect speech. And I know, Gus, we interviewed Michelle Bowden and she said minimum 200 you have to practice a speech a minimum of 200 times. I'll never forget that. But, this is what customers want to see and hear. So if you are targeting them and you have the right message, there is not a limit as to how much you should be putting out there. Just get your message out there.
And I think the other thing as well that I see, people get caught admiring the bigger company type of social media. Yet when you actually really look at it, there's a big company out there with 500,000 followers providing videos with only 20 likes. Because they themselves believe that, we have money, we use them. The real thing that I saw changing for the past 2 years, people value engagement. And engagement is not a picture. The way you comment, the way you being authentic in expressing what you want to sell. And I think it's come back to what Steve's saying. If your business really come through, have a bigger why, people engaged. Because in reality, I now understand. It's funny, like been in the business for so long. Finally, I understand people actually don't give an F of what you sell. You like it because that's come from you. If Natalie, if you are a journalist, you like your writing. Steve is a builder. Steve loved the house he built. And I'm a manufacturer of lights. I love every light that come from my factory. But for the Joe Blow out there, we just a product. Now, this why, combined with a social media that is free and ability to come to this with a very open, authentic self. I'm flawed, so I can learn. I will never forget that. I'm talking, we are not bringing a flawed leader that is successful. And people engage. People want to hear this. People can understand. And this is what people need to do. This is what business need to do, in my opinion.
I think the brand is the same as well. People want to see the process. They don't always just want to see the finished product as well. I would love to I almost want to start another business so I can show people from day one what it's like on day one and tell them about what I'm going to achieve. So if I'm a plumber and electrician and you're starting out as day one, I envy you because you have the biggest upper hand if you're prepared to day one hold that camera up and say, I've got my license now, I'm out there, I'm going to try and build this into whatever you want it to be, and I'm going to bring you along on the journey. People love that. They don't like seeing the completed thing. They want to see all the work because people can relate to that. And where we've got traction here is we hardly even post about our products. And this is something I learned very early on from Gary Vee, that, jab, 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 right hook. For us, it's community, community, house. So we're adding value, please buy. Add value, please buy. So you look at our Facebook page or any of our social media accounts, and majority of it is we're just talking about the why we do what we do, and we happen to build houses.
Yes.
Yeah, where all my competitors is just product.
Yes.
And
And that's when the engagement, that's hard to get engagement on those. And, you know, even I remember, LinkedIn, there is heaps of posts on there, but one that stood out, for things that stand out for me are authentic posts, personal posts, and stories, you know, storytelling, really, really powerful. Even one, I recall, Steve, you had one, you mentioned basketball, and I saw one about you. There was a photo of you with a basketball team. I think you said something like you were in this photo, and I recall it. And you were in the photo, and now you said it's your turn to give back to them, if I'm correct, because they were there for you when you needed someone. That's where people engage. It's you're authentic. So I think that's really important advice for anyone. If you're starting out as a plumber, like you said, whatever you're doing, be authentic and transparent, and be honest to who you are from the very beginning, rather than putting on this fake, you know, I'm successful, I'm this, or do you know that saying, fake it until you make it? Like, I feel like that's gone out the window, right?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, people want to see the raw you, because people are struggling. People are finding it hard. They want to relate. I remember almost 20 years ago, I worked for a franchisee, and in Harvard, it was in the computer section, and where you'd return all the broken computers, or where you'd come with all your problems, you know, every other store wanted to talk about how amazing they were. Every customer complaint he got, he would print out and laminate and stick up in his customer service area. And there was 50 or 60 complaints that you'd have laminated, but you'd have underneath there how he fixed it as well. And it really, really worked, because when people stepped up, he owned his problems, he owned his mistakes, and people could see that and they could relate, you know, instead of pretending they were perfect, you know. And I think businesses need to do the same as well. They need to own their mistakes and, you know, and step up when they have done the wrong thing, or they could be doing things better. And that's another reason why I like talking to customers, because sometimes you need to get on the phone and say, hey, as a team, as a business, we messed up. And that's on me as a leader. I can't just be on podcasts or getting all the awards and not be prepared to get down there and apologise and say I'm sorry. That comes from a place of egotistical behaviour and arrogance. It's just really rude.
And Steve, I'm curious to know, you know, we all make mistakes, and I, for one, put my hand up. I struggle to move on from making a mistake. No one's perfect. Do you have any advice for any small or medium business owners listening today, just moving on and accepting, and, you know, it's okay to make mistakes? Like, are there any tips that you can share that you do to actually move on? Because, hey, we all do it. No one's perfect.
Yeah, just don't sit with them too long. You got to let it pass. You got to let it go, because you're going to make lots and lots of mistakes. I really like mistakes. I love it when my team make mistakes. I don't like it when in life, I've made a lot of mistakes, which I'm glad that I did, because I embrace them and I learn from them. There's been a series of mistakes in my life that I keep making over and over and over again, which really annoy me in life, but also in business as well. They frustrate me. So I'm working through those, but there will be mistakes. You know, that's the fun of life, not just business. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, here we are on Earth spinning around in this galaxy. We're just here for a short amount of time. You're going to make lots of mistakes. There's no point dwelling on them. And I used to in the past. And then what happens is you're so scared to make another decision. You're just a deer in a headlight. You know, you just got to let it go and move on, and it will happen. As long as you learn, which I don't always learn from my mistakes. I try, but as long as you learn, it's okay. It's fine. It's fun. Who cares? Yes. You're not here for long. You're not here for long.
Yeah. I think the way I look at that point about mistake is it comes back to the intent, because mistake is divided into two. If your intent is to help a customer fixing a house, and in the process you forget to put a sealant in the corner, so it's leak, you're not actually, the mistake is actually fixable. But if you wake up in the morning and said, you know what, I don't like this customer, he's just so annoying, so when I build this house, I will actually reduce the amount of sealant. Now, that's, you know, so I agree with Steve. I think if you wake up with a positive intention, you make mistake, you make a lot of them, you learn. But if you make a mistake because your intent to destroy, that's where well, I don't know how people learn on that, but you know,
Mhm.
don't do that, but don't be scared of making mistake. I agree.
Yeah. I even say to customers when I'm trying to win their business and they ask for discount, I say, I can't give you any discount because we're going to make mistakes while we're building your house. And I need margin in the job so I can rectify the mistake. What do you mean you're going to make mistakes? You're going to make mistakes. Any builder that tells you they're not going to make mistakes or they're not going to, stuff things up or forget this or forget that, they're lying to you because it's a hard thing. It's a complicated thing to do. So that's why you're not getting any discount.
And that's also a valuable thing for me as a plumber. We are a plumbing company now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Trying to win a job without margin, hoping that you get more service without
Mm-hmm.
accepting the fact that you will make mistake, you fail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's
100%. Yeah, it's just owning it and saying sorry and fixing the problem. Yeah. And customers resonate with that. They get that, understand, because that's life. They understand.
And did it take you to actually be that honest with a customer and say that, there will be mistakes? Did you only recently implement that, or has that always been something that you've done? I mean, it's fantastic. The honesty from the very beginning, I think that works in your favor because the customer can see that you're honest.
I think it's come with just maturity and growing up and having kids and realizing that it's just a house. Like I'm not too scared to be honest with people and have adult conversations now. I teach my sales team to take the sales element out of it, work with the customer. It's a relationship, especially in construction, that relationship. We might know each other for 18 months, 24 months. And, I have customers who, I've met on day one and since then, they've been divorced, they've had kids, a partner's maybe passed away, one's got like it's life. Life happens. So if you're going to be a customer of mine, I want to make sure that we can work together because it is a relationship. There can't be any, salesmanship about it. You're going to make mistakes as a customer. You're going to get frustrated and have high levels of anxiety, and we're going to do things that, don't please you, but we work together and we stick together and we'll be okay. So, I don't win every job because of that conversation because they all want to hear about, oh, what are you giving me for free? But when I do get you, you're paying top dollar, full margin, and you're referring a friend to me. I had a customer that referred someone to me the other day, and I said, oh, he hates me. Did he really refer you? And this guy hates Kookaburra. He hates me, but he's still referring people. He's still. So I'm like, that's a sign of a good business. He hates us, but he goes, oh no. I hate him, but I still wouldn't build with anyone else. So I don't know. You can't ask for much more than that, but it does take time. But I think, life, especially when you're selling something, I think it's good to just have really good, honest, open conversations with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. And look, we could ask you so many more questions, Steve, but I'm looking at the time. Gus, I need to hand over to you to wrap it up because we're out of time.
No problem. Thank you, Natalie. Stephen, thank you so much for donating your time. We discussed a lot of things. As Natalie mentioned, we can go for another 1 hour. And I think we will enjoy this as your insight is very genuine. And, it's very easy to understand. I think people forget that the things that make us successful is not the textbook stuff. It's actually the things that we discussed today. You start the conversation by saying leadership is anything by example. Be someone who demonstrate leading by example with a strong empathy. You want to create a positive buzz? Simple. Just be kind and be nice. The buzz will happen when you are doing that as a leader. I love when you said, I'm flawed. I have a flawed mentality, so I can create a space of learning to improve. And I think to the audience, we need to be careful here. When Steve say, I'm flawed, that's not mean that Steve wake up every morning depressed that he's not good in anything. He just have the easy acceptance that every day is a learning possibilities. And I think that's fantastic. You said also have enough why when you run your business so you can walk further. Don't put your business above you. Put you above the business with a stronger why so you can continue to move on. Start market your why, as this is your best marketing. Don't market your product, market your why. And then while you do all this, make mistake as your friends, as you can learn from it every day. Be honest, look after your customer, and your brand, your business, and yourself will grow. Thank you so much for giving advice through Leader Talk. We appreciate your time. Hope you and Kookaburra Homes' biggest success in 2022 and beyond. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Gus. Thank you, Nat. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For more information on Leader Talk and for some great resources to help your business grow, check out brainiac.com.au. Thanks, everyone.